And now that these millions of illegal aliens are here, permitted to get here by the Democrats and the Biden administration, your jurisdictions actually hinder the enforcement of immigration laws because of the sanctuary policies you've adopted. And then you have the temerity to complain about the influx of illegal aliens that strain your social services. Well, you did that. That's not even an unintended consequence. That's what it is. So I'll ask you, Governor Walz, do you agree with your Attorney General's opinion stating that it's not lawful for Minnesota counties to hold people for immigration authorities, even if there is an immigration warrant? Do you agree with his statement? That's his statement. It's not yours. I just want to know if you agree with him.
Yeah. Well, I know you know this, Congressman, that all 87 Minnesota counties follow federal law.
Guys, wow. You just saw a glimpse of it, but you need to see the whole thing. We just watched Representative Andy Biggs absolutely take Governor Tim Walz to school on the reality of the border crisis. If you've ever been frustrated by politicians who dance around simple questions, who refuse to give a straight answer, and who invite a crisis only to complain about it later, this video is going to be incredibly satisfying for you. Biggs is surgical here. He doesn't let Walz get away with the usual talking points. He pins him down, and frankly, it's embarrassing for the governor. Let's get into the full reaction.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I get a kick out of you sanctuary state, county, city leaders who talk about having to deal with the border crisis. Cracks me up, actually. But at least, Governor Pritzker, you did call it a crisis in your statement. I appreciate that. Ultimately, as you said in your statement, you received 50,000 illegal aliens into Cook County. And Governor Hochul stated that New York received about 220,000 illegal aliens. That's fantastic that you know those numbers roughly. Now I want you to imagine you're a southern Arizona community of about 80,000 people, sitting right on the border. And over the course of the Biden administration, a couple of million people came through your little town. And I quote you, Governor Pritzker, Illinois didn't ask for this crisis. And I'm going to tell you, neither did Yuma, Arizona. Its lone hospital, only hospital, couldn't handle the influx, nor could its single food bank, its law enforcement, its schools, and other services and infrastructure. That was a failure, you're correct, on the part of the federal government under Joe Biden. That's all stopped now. That's all stopped now. Because it didn't take a new law, it took enforcement of the current law. Well, you know what drew a lot of those people? Because you might have been down there once. I've been down there dozens of times. I've taken more people from Congress down there than anybody else here. And you know what those people told me? They're coming here because they wanted to get to places, and they would name Chicago, and they would name New York to me. And I'd say, why the heck are you crossing here and not crossing at Del Rio? Because you guys offered sanctuary policies. They believed that they would be protected in your jurisdictions. And now that these millions of illegal aliens are here, permitted to get here by the Democrats and the Biden administration, your jurisdictions actually hinder the enforcement of immigration laws because of the sanctuary policies you've adopted. And then you have the temerity to complain about the influx of illegal aliens that strain your social services. Well, you did that. That's not even an unintended consequence. That's what it is. So I'll ask you, Governor Walz, do you agree with your Attorney General's opinion stating that it's not lawful for Minnesota counties to hold people for immigration authorities, even if there is an immigration warrant? Do you agree with his statement? That's his statement. It's not yours. I just want to know if you agree with him.
Yeah. Well, I know you know this, Congressman, that all 87 Minnesota counties follow federal law.
I don't know that. I just want to know. I don't know that. Why would I know that? I'm just going by your Attorney General.
I haven't.
He says not to do it. Do you agree with the Attorney General? That's all I'm asking.
The Attorney General is elected independently in Minnesota. Nothing in his opinion allows it in Minnesota.
So are you telling me you disagree with him?
Could I have 20 seconds just to say?
I just want you to answer the question. You're not answering the question.
I served here, Congressman, and there's the respect to the witnesses to just be able to speak.
Yeah, there is, and there should be respect, and that respect from the witness should be to answer the question.
Our counties and jurisdictions can do whatever they deem necessary. They have to.
Do you agree with your Attorney General? Apparently, we don't know because you're not going to answer. You're going to be oblique about it. So
That's unfair characterization. I'm trying to answer. I'm not the Attorney General of Minnesota.
do you agree with his memo? And
It does
you're killing
nothing-
time because you're filibustering. Do you agree with his memo? That's all I'm asking.
Nothing.
And you don't want to even answer it. You just say, oh, maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. Let's go to you, Governor Pritzker. A lawsuit was filed against you in the state of Illinois, and you responded. Your response to the claim is that Illinois has a quote constitutionally protected choice not to assist federal authorities with deportation, close quote. Give me the constitutional reference you're making there. What are you referring to?
Congressman, I don't know the lawsuit that you're referring to, and I don't know that I was the respondent in that lawsuit. I can say that
This is from the response filed on your behalf. So you didn't read the response? Well, let me then ask you, if that is the response officially of you, how is that consistent with Arizona versus U.S.? It's not. How is it consistent with 8 U.S.C. 287 D3? It's not. Let's just cover it in the last 18 seconds. When you guys say you say we do give these people the information only on a criminal warrant. Is there any distinction in 8 U.S.C. 1373A, 1324, 1324C that says, yeah, you don't have to give information, you don't have to provide the body, you don't have to respond to the ICE detainer? Is there anything in there that says there's a distinction between the criminal law, the criminal warrant, the criminal detainer, and a civil warrant, civil detainer? Is there anything in there? The answer is no. I'll answer for you. You do violate the law. You are sanctuary cities. And every one of you sitting there, if you don't know that by now, you should know it walking out of here, that you are actually committing a federal crime every time someone does that, because you don't have the authority under federal law or under the Constitution to negate even a civil warrant for someone who's violated a federal offense when you get a detainer notice. Yield back.
Okay, let's take a breath because there was a lot to unpack there. That was an absolute masterclass in accountability by Andy Biggs. First off, let's talk about how Biggs opened this up. He didn't just throw out angry rhetoric, he brought the receipts. He compared the complaints of these massive sanctuary states, like Illinois and New York, to the reality of small border towns in Arizona. When Biggs pointed out that a town of 80,000 people has seen millions of crossings, while these governors are melting down over 50,000 migrants, that is the perspective we have been missing. He correctly pointed out the temerity, and that is the perfect word, of these leaders complaining about a problem they helped create. But the real fireworks started when he turned his attention to Governor Tim Walz. This was the moment where Walz completely fell apart. Biggs asked an incredibly simple, specific question. Do you agree with your Attorney General's opinion that Minnesota counties can't hold illegal aliens for ICE? It's a yes or no question. It is not complicated. If you are the governor, you should have a stance on whether your state obstructs federal immigration law. And what did Walz do? He started talking about how 87 counties follow federal law. He completely dodged it, and I love that Biggs didn't let it slide. He cut right in. He said, I'm not asking you that. I'm asking if you agree with the AG. Watching Walz try to squirm out of that was painful. He tried to hide behind the Attorney General being an independent office. That is such a weak cop-out. Biggs called it exactly what it was, a filibuster. He was just trying to run out the clock because he knows the truth. He knows that his state's policies are actively shielding people who broke the law, and he doesn't want to admit it on camera because it looks terrible. Biggs nailed the core issue here. You cannot declare yourself a sanctuary, tell the world you won't cooperate with ICE, and then act shocked when people actually show up at your doorstep. Walz looked like a deer in the headlights because he's used to softballs. He's not used to someone like Biggs who actually reads the legal memos and knows the statutes. When Walz tried to act like he was just being respectful of the office, Biggs saw right through it. It wasn't respect, it was evasion. He was terrified of answering the question because admitting he supports blocking ICE looks insane to the average American voter. And then, that closing argument, where Biggs breaks down the difference between civil and criminal warrants, that was the nail in the coffin. He schooled them on federal law, He basically told them, "You are breaking the law by ignoring these detainers," and he dared them to prove him wrong. They couldn't. They just sat there. Look, this is why we need people like Andy Biggs in these hearings. He didn't scream. He didn't lose his cool. He just relentlessly pressed for the truth. Governor Walz, on the other hand, showed us exactly what modern political cowardice looks like. He couldn't answer a straight question because the answer would have incriminated his own failed policies. Biggs 1, Walz 0, absolute knockout.